All right. Our next talk, just before lunch, is by Kelly Hemmings and Catherine Duke from the Royal Agricultural University. Grassroots enterprising students collaborate to develop sustainable herbarium merchandise.
Thank you so much. I've circulated some items around the room. Feel free to pass them. And thank you very much for the invitation to speak today. My mind is ablaze with the brilliance of all these projects that we've seen. So I'm Kelly. I'm an academic at the Royal Agricultural University. And well, I've been dipping my toe into things my bosses probably would kill me for. Because it's got a bit off-piste. Turns out they love it because there's a good message. So we've been involving students in a collaborative project to develop some merchandise. And you can see our final draft cards circulating around the room. So we've had a core group of keen students working with us to help select specimens from our herbarium collection and turn them into products. It's outreach of a kind. It's also enterprise. It's also educational. It's also extracurricular. It spans all sorts of different areas. And we've started out just from looking what should we include through to having a product. And I say it's the finish because I think actually it's kind of a beginning. I really have drawn myself in. It's completely my own fault. So I'll talk you through our herbarium collection because part of the point is to promote that so people know we have it, detail how we have produced the merchandise in collaboration with the students, and when I get to the end, I'll mention the novelties and challenges of the project. And there is a brief mention of bias and harm in relation to herbarium metadata. So when we get to the novelties and challenges section, do be aware of that if you do need to take a short break. So where did the project come from? So my core job as an academic is not to make greetings cards, but my area at the moment is really focusing in on our previously very much hidden natural history collections. The Royal Agricultural University was founded in 1845, and I'm pretty sure I've seen a van this morning that says that Queen's in Belfast was the same year. So that's a nice synergy that I didn't know. And we have collections, in fact, dating some of them back to the 18th century through the 19th, 20th, and a few bits and pieces that are more recent. It's a very small collection, but I think a very special one. And we focused in on what is literally labelled as the old herbarium for this project. We also have a new herbarium. There's a label that says it's new, and that might be for next time. A good mix of taxa and mainly UK, a few international specimens, very much a focus on wild plants and plant-like specimens. The collection we focused on is the collection primarily of Samuel Pickworth Woodward. And I am him, I suppose. I have his job. He was the first me in 1845, and he was a correspondent of Darwin. He was very much part of that natural history network. The collection shows his vast exchange network with all sorts of big names, as you can see on the list: Hooker, Henslow, Watson, etc. And I think just to bring his collection to prominence, it's previously very much unknown. I think it's very important to get that through and across. So the first thing we had to do, I'm saying this as if it was a small thing, we just needed to do that job of digitising the herbarium. So this is kind of sprung from the digitisation process. We received some generous funding from a local organisation called Gloucestershire Naturalist Society, which is where the university is based. And we have captured everything, and the next step is to get it onto GBIF. So we have all the images essentially, and through this process, I've been talking to people a lot about the digitisation, the herbarium, and what we've got, and it has drawn me into this area of the history, the art, the teaching, the outreach of the collection, whereas typically you'd see me doing some field work with a quadrat and counting plants and percentage cover and this sort of thing. This actually has really grabbed me, and I'm running with it. The actual specimens themselves, it has been argued, are more engaging in some ways than the actual living specimens. They give a bit of an ooh factor, or a what on earth am I looking at factor. And actually I've seen this through the various workshops that I've run. Some of these are outside of the curriculum. I've run loads of them within classes, but specific workshops outside of the curriculum. The first thing people will say when they look at a specimen is, "Oh, that is so beautiful." Okay, that's interesting. The handwriting, lovely Victorian cursive script, is usually the next most popular thing. And the place, actually, where it's from. One person even said, "I was there last week and I saw that." I thought, gosh, it's from 1846 or something. That's quite impressive. So those connections are really good. People want to know about rarity and extinction, poisonous things, and all this kind. The condition is important. People like to comment on that. They don't like to see nibbles and bits. It's a fact of life, but they do like good condition. And some people are just not sure what they're dealing with. What's a herbarium? What are these sheets for? Okay, I'm inquisitive, but I don't quite get it. So there's an opportunity for engagement there. And we're talking here engagement mainly with adults. We've seen quite a lot of brilliant stuff on children. And here we're talking a different demographic altogether. So that's how the idea sort of arose, just through people appreciating the beauty of the specimens. So to develop the project, we already have a really successful social enterprise project, which is where my colleague Katie, who's head of enterprise, comes in. So we have a wine that the university produces, where students have helped do everything from the harvesting to the tasting to feeding back to the people who do the production and the bottling. They've designed labels, they run market stands. It's really, really brilliant. So I can't claim much credit for that model, but we have had something to follow, which has been really, really good. So what I envisaged was that we could have some products that would help to perhaps self-support the herbarium and all our other natural history collections. Something that could bring some income in and be reinvested, but that was also a way of raising the profile of the herbarium itself and the fact that the Agricultural University does and always has done natural history since 1845, because it's got a bit lost over the years. So I'm keen to bring that back in. So it gave lots of scope. Particularly, I teach a lot on our wildlife and environment courses. We have lots for our agriculture students, but something extracurricular that these guys might particularly want to get involved in was important. Agriculture students are welcome too, but I wanted something that would particularly grab into those courses to give them a little bit more of a focus. So we ran a series of workshops. So this is Katie leading a market research workshop here. This is where her expertise lies, and mine definitely doesn't. So all the money and the finances and pricing and that's Katie's job. So we've got students to look through the specimens using some originals and some digital ones as well. It took a couple of sessions just to narrow it down. We still had about 100 because they're all so lovely and they couldn't decide. They had a session on enterprise skills. We have run a market research workshops, thought about where we could sell these, and then dealing with the actual pricing and so on. So the students have been really cool. We've had this core group really interested, but then we've had lots of other students and staff commenting and inputting, which has been really nice. And furthermore, we have Jen, who is sitting next to me in the photo here, and she is an RAE graduate who took the enterprise scheme to develop her own greetings card company. Now she sells them with the National Trust and all sorts of things. So she was really grateful and came back to help the next generation of students, which was great. So from the students' input, they came up with a few key things that have driven these cards. They wanted them to be authentic to the specimen. So as these cards circulate around the room, you'll see they've still got like the tape holding them down. So we had lots of conversations about that. And we wanted them to look like specimens rather than take all that evidence of them being a collected specimen away from the card. That would have been insane. They wanted them to be educational, so we have got a transcription of the metadata actually at the bottom on the front of the card. They were very keen that we had a purpose for the merchandise to be reinvested in the collections. And we thought, well, why cards? We just thought they were practical, small, something to start out with. But we've had requests for everything from tea towels to kitchenware to, it'll have to wait probably, but it's an idea. It's an idea for down the line, isn't it? Very democratic production process. We've had lots and lots of displays at various stages of production to get input from students, staff, visitors to the university. We've just put up displays in the coffee shop, which is as good a place as any. to catch hold of people. So we initially planted, Freudian slip, printed out a few just on Moonpig, but do be careful, they can steal your images, just to get an idea of what people liked. So we've got a nasty shiny thing here, but people say, well, I'd like a border on it, or I'd like the writing bigger, or could you cut it out? And those sort of bits of feedback were really, really useful. So students took down notes from the passers-by, including seed paper came up a lot. Why don't we use seed paper? The student group felt, actually, what do people do with the seed paper? Will it print nicely? You know, does it actually yield a lot of lovely wildflower meadows, or does it just get stashed in a drawer? Worse, you know, probably end up in the bin somewhere. So we didn't necessarily go with that, although it seemed an obvious choice. So everything from size of the cards, how much will it cost to post? Can you write on the cards in fountain pen? We had all sorts of questions, very detailed questions. So all of this came through. We then had a professional designer to actually design the cards, and you'll be able to see from the shiny plastic thing that you kind of do on your own to having something a bit more tactile and quality that's going around the room. It's very, very important. So we put a selection of designs up again and had passers-by comment on what they would like. And what won out was nice big handwriting, single sort of clear image, and that educational information on the front rather than the back, which surprised me and I was not sure about, but I'm now sold. So that was a display again, just getting tallies of people saying which they liked and which they didn't, and it was just a source of information for us, but also a point of education for people coming through as well. Great. So in terms of having the designer, we had shiny Moonpig. I haven't passed those around in case anybody thinks they're the end product. Then we tried to make a few of our own, a bit more tasteful, the kind of mocked up logo. It didn't quite work. So by the time we got to the professional designer, it's much better. And I think if you're thinking this might be a quick project that you could do, it's not quick, and you'll need to pay a designer. And then we thought we needed a logo as well. So great. We have the normal university logo, but it's a bit boring. I hope there's nobody from the university in here to hear me say, but it's not very exciting. It doesn't get across the natural history. So we thought we'd do something else. And again, we had the designer on the case, and he came up with several. We had lots of comments, and we ended up with this one here, which actually contains real specimens from the collection, maintains the agricultural focus as well, but also broadens into the further natural history. So we had lots and lots of feedback on the logo, and that raised all sorts of discussion around how the university would want to portray itself as agricultural, but also all the surrounding management of land and ecosystems. We also had interesting points around perceptions of certain species, like this one here. One colleague said that looks like bracken. I thought, no, I can't use that one, because that, you know, what we don't want to upset with perception of species if we're seen to be championing bracken, although there's nothing wrong with it. There's this kind of idea that you might not want to do that. So to round off, in terms of reflecting on the project, the novelties and challenges, including a little brief mention of biases and harm. So people genuinely interested in them. You show people like, what's this? What am I looking at? And they get engaged with it. It's really, really interesting when people look at these designs. Very, very keen, as I say, on the dates, the heritage, the handwriting. It's involved a lot of staff and input from across the university, which is quite nice, because often, you know, it's student services over there, library over there, academics over there. It doesn't always work in tandem particularly well, and we've done quite a good job there. And the students enjoyed it. They liked the art elements, which they don't get to do much of in their courses. Some like the enterprise element. They just really valued it as something that was for them, really, which was lovely. In terms of some of the difficulties, the biases and harm, we've tried, and somebody might tell me we've missed something. I hope, well, do tell me. If we don't want to pick any scientific names or places or locations or collectors that might be difficult for any of the audience, because we don't want to cause that to anybody, but also it's a product as well. It's supposed to bring, you know, joy and happiness. So we don't want to send anything along those lines that might be difficult. So whether it's eponyms or we've got some specimens, for example, from Jamaica. I have some Jamaican heritage, and I've looked it up, and it seems to be a plantation, so I don't think I would use that one. So there's all these sorts of things that need thinking about. The name had me going around in circles. Do we update the scientific names? Do we transcribe them as on the card? We've stuck with as they are on the specimen, otherwise they're only going to change at some point anyway. We needed to think about who took the photo. If a student took the photo, it's actually their copyright. So we've made sure that all the photos are ones that have been taken by, or mainly me actually, or other staff, and negative species. And on one hand, it's a point of education. On the other, we don't want our normal audience to be upset by things they might see as weeds. So I might not put a dock leaf or a creeping thistle or something that would be difficult in agriculture. But then again, I might do some just to mix it up a bit. But yeah, the bracken was a good example of something where perhaps that wouldn't have worked quite so well. So what's up next is we have more natural history collections. We've got a vast number of slides, we've got pins, invertebrates, we've got some spirit collections, but they're all just stashed at the moment. They've just not been in use. They haven't been verified for species identifications or anything like that, not even catalogued. So there's more to do, and I think we can get some more interesting bits and pieces, get more students involved, and hopefully get a bit more engagement by moving into other areas of natural science as well. And do we want to keep it a little project, which I quite like, or I said the bosses would kill me. They're actually really pleased, said, oh, this is great, commercial product for the university. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, maybe it could be something that is bigger down the line. So thank you very much indeed for listening to all of that. Some pieces there if you like them. Thank you. Right.
Questions in the room?
Oh, boy. So in terms of development, so was it basically like an academic year? So you planned to do it with students in a module or the whole year, and so from start to finish, from let's put this course or this unit together through to here's a product that we're holding in our hand. How long did that take?
Yeah, so the funding we had from a local organisation was for a project that would last a year. So we delivered the cards within the year. So that's why I say it's the beginning and the finish, but also another beginning because we can then carry it on. And I ran the workshops actually as extracurricular. We still have sports Wednesday afternoons, and there is obviously a group of students who don't get involved in that and would like something more like this. So it was important to put it on in that fashion. So mainly it was delivered through that, but also I've had lots of input through the formal curriculum in modules. I've even devised an assessment around it for our pre-degree students. They had to design a tote bag. They said they really enjoyed it. So yeah, a variety of methods. Thank you.
I'm just wondering, how would you judge the commercial success of the project in terms of kind of profits and yeah, that side of it?
Yeah, so there's quite good margin on the cards. We are planning to sell them for £3.75 each or 3 for £10. So we've benchmarked it, I hate to say it, benchmarked it just against Waitrose, who wanted a kind of high quality product such as they might sell. So the margin's very good, and I have no idea how many we're going to sell. We're going to have to wait and see. But essentially, I'm fighting for some way of having a budget that just sustains year on year and year and doesn't get taken at the end of the financial year, so I can build enough to say purchase a new cabinet for display or something like that. So that would be a success if I can get enough to make something tangible. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Well, thank you very much, and thank you to all our speakers in this session. We're a little bit late. It's 12:34, and we're going to meet back here after lunch at 1:10 to start our next session. Okay, all right. So thank you very much, everyone. Let's hear a round of applause.